Welcome to our vampire bat cave. This is where all the booty kicking goes down.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Hamster wheel over here. Can you get that? They put like a piece of cheese up there, and then we all run, try to get the cheese. And over there is where we do all of our kicks and swings and fighting each other.
Jumping around and trying new things, beating each other up.
I grew up having brothers, so I know self-defense. I know kicking butt.
We're getting into sick, crazy shape. It's good times. Now I can walk down the block without feeling winded, so thank you, Eclipse, for getting me in shape and teaching me how to pretend kick people's butts. If I ever get into trouble, I'll know how to pretend to kick someone's butt.
Right now we're in downtown Vancouver. It's about 4:20 in the morning, and we're doing a scene with Nikki Reed, the lovely Nikki Reed, where she's my lovely fiance, and I grab her and introduce her to some of my friends in a rather nasty, lascivious way.
And action. Rose! Rose! Hey, come over here.
Him and his friends like abused her in a really brutal way and left her to die.
I'll see you tomorrow. So,
Royce? Royce, honey?
Action!
I'm looking forward to shooting the revenge.
The Cullens destroyed her love, and she's going to destroy theirs. Her lover was killed by Edward, and she wants to make Edward suffer by killing Bella.
Victoria is scorned and feels like she needs to inflict on Edward and Bella what she had to go through.
With James, it was a game, you know, it was a hunt. Whereas in this film, it's vengeance. Bloodlust and anger and violence. I think that's scarier than anything.
Victoria is delicious to write for because she is so evil and just so completely dead set on what she wants and on what's, you know, her revenge and her passion for that.
Victoria's an interesting character because she's not a particularly verbal character. She isn't someone who, if she's upset with you, she's going to come up and punch you in the face. Not at all. She's somebody who works behind the scenes. She's always careful not to put herself in danger as much as she can help it.
Because her instincts are always to evade. That's her strongest gift, is her gift of evasion.
She is an amazing escape artist. Can't be caught. Always appearing out of nowhere. Always disappearing into nowhere. The Victoria of Eclipse is a different Victoria to Twilight and New Moon. This Victoria is much more a vocal manipulator. She really uses her voice. She's a much quieter seductress.
She's very seductive and she's very intense, but she has this kind of like, in her manipulation, you can hear that she's also sort of like this little girl, and it's kind of terrifying.
She is not a predator so much. She's not the aggressor. She's the manipulator. She's a master manipulator, and she does it by being this helpless little, you know, but what about us?
There's something a little unhinged about her. When you hear her speak, you can really kind of tell that there's something not totally right with the way that she is.
don't let him do this to us, Riley.
Bryce is great. You know, the first night that we saw her shoot, she came up and she said, I've been doing something with the voice, because this is the first time Victoria actually speaks in the novels, is in the very end of Eclipse. She says, and you describe it as being like this kind of little girl's voice. It's a little high. She says, I want to do something with that. And I said, that's wonderful. I think that's great. And she worked into the scene, and you can just see that this is Victoria.
She's great. She's such a sweet girl and can suddenly turn into this ferocious devil.
Oh, look, Bryce is just like Victoria, you know. She's incredibly manipulative. She's got me wrapped around her little finger.
Victoria has a very strong army behind her in this one.
She's gone in a very, very clever and very roundabout way of creating this army to the point where her soldiers don't even know who she is.
She's been getting an army together of newborn vampires to basically kill off Bella and Edward as vengeance once and for all.
A newborn army is kind of made up of recently turned human into vampires.
It's roughly the first 1, 2, 3 months where they are still instilled with the traits of both, so they're crazed.
Newborns are the strongest in their first year of life and make for very good, strong, disposable soldiers.
They're uncontrollable and they're unpredictable.
Ravenous, crazy vampires.
Instinctual.
Vicious and crazy and wild.
Insatiable thirst.
The newborns are stronger, faster. They sort of operate purely just on instinct.
And you basically just want to kill. So that's really useful if you're building an army.
Victoria's plan is actually quite brilliant. She got Riley to do this because obviously Alice would never recognize him, and therefore she would never be able to identify the fact that this is Victoria's plan.
If she did everything herself, then with Alice's seeing the future and Edward reading minds, they would all know immediately that Victoria was behind it.
It's a really great part in her plan because she's got us so confused and you know, concerned with this army rather than her.
Riley captures these human beings, and Victoria turns them into vampires.
Welcome to the army.
And so she creates her army, and she puts Riley in charge of it, and he's doing all the dirty work, and the poor kid goes from being a very sweet college kid, and she twists him into something very dark and becomes a very dangerous weapon.
Well, when you first meet Riley, he's this kind of fresh-faced college student, then he gets transformed by Victoria into a vampire. I have a lot of friends who kind of go crazy for Twilight. I think one of them fainted when they found out that I got cast as Riley.
He's a new actor from Australia, and as we all kind of collectively started to look at his audition, we realized this is a fantastic young actor.
Xavier is such a lovely person, and he's really sweet. And then you get him on set, and 1 second he's this adorable, you know, oh, everything's lovely, and he walks out there screaming, and the whole set, everyone just stopped.
What did I say about a low profile?
One of those wow moments when you film, where it just, the whole scene just exploded exactly the way you want it to.
He was great. You know, he felt like the right kind of sensitivity that Riley has with the intensity that Riley had.
It's challenging as well because you don't want to resort to the kind of cliches and the stereotypes in terms of the way that you portray a vampire. So I think the trick is trying to retain some sort of humanity there as well. But it's a lot of fun, you know, I get to throw people off burning cars and smash them into walls and stuff like that. So I'm having a good time.
I think she chooses Riley because she knows that she could control him.
Is madly in love with Victoria and will do anything to protect her.
She has him so wound around her little finger.
She has taken him on sort of as a pet almost.
And he doesn't know the world that he's in. He doesn't know what he's gotten himself into.
Riley's kind of been kept in the dark as to what Victoria's motivations are.
I'm doing this for us.
And so she's able to twist him around, and it's really interesting to watch. It's very sad.
It's one of the more tragic elements because he's a victim. You know, he's truly a victim of her plan, and she obviously has no intention of following through with anything that she's promised him. She seduces him in a really clever and really manipulative way by making him feel that she needs him and making him believe that she truly loves him.
And she maybe is in love with him to a degree, but at the end of the day, she has this grudge, and she's going to go and she's going to do what she's going to do. And you know what? She'll sacrifice that love.
Victoria! Victoria!
I think it's fun in this film, you know, the story of Riley and Victoria, where it's a very lustful, hedonistic animal relationship. And to juxtapose that with Bella and Edward.
The opposite of the all or nothing monogamous relationship that Bella and Edward have, in a way. It's kind of this carnal love and this pure, true love. And that's an interesting balance too, I think.
One of the fun things about Eclipse for me is that if you look at something from someone's perspective, even Victoria, I can totally understand her point. You know, if you're a vampire and those are the only things that really matter to you and everyone else is kind of like a hamburger, you know, who cares about their feelings, right? And somebody took away the person you loved for a stupid hamburger, of course, you know, I can absolutely understand her side of things.
The most difficult thing for a human being to do is to accept something. Accepting the violence that's been done to you, or accepting whatever you've been through, and forgive the person who victimized you. On the opposite end of the spectrum is revenge. Not accepting what's happened to you, not even beginning to forgive the person who's done this wrong against you, and doing this eye for an eye thing. That's kind of, I think, the hardest thing that we're faced with as human beings.
Just marry me.
I can't yet.
This is the place where we feel safe, so that when we return to the meadow, we're in the same place, but these people have become more complicated.
At this point, me and Rob laugh more in the really serious scenes, and like much, much less in the scenes that's supposed to be light and funny. Those were like sort of like trying to be light and funny.
They really understand their characters. I feel like Rob and Kristen just kind of like zip on their Bella and Edward suits and kind of snap right back into it.
We have established dynamics that nobody can mess with, and that's what you hope to get to by the end of one movie.